I was 1 year and 10 months old when Nagasaki was devastated by the atomic bomb. I was inside my house, located 2.9 kilometers away from the epicenter, blast center. Thanks to the mountains surrounding the central part of Nagasaki City, which somewhat shielded my house from direct impact of the bomb. So I did not suffer any burns or injuries and have survived to this day. As I was only a baby then, I do not remember anything about that time, nor can I tell you of the indescribable tragedies that our senior hibakusha witnessed and experienced on that day in the and in the aftermath. But I was certainly there with my mother and my grandfather. So allow me to share with you a little about what my mother used to tell me over and over again. It was a very hot day on August 9th. My mother was preparing lunch out of meager ingredients she had gathered. Air raid warning had that sounded in the morning had been lifted. I was playing alone in front of the house. She said to me, "Come in, it's too hot outside." So I came inside. It was a usual pre-lunch time in a quiet residential area. Suddenly she heard a tremendous sound. When she came to, she found over 30 centimeters, about 1 foot, pile of dust accumulated inside a house located about 2.9 kilometers south of the blast center, which was in Urakami district in the north part of Nagasaki City. The pile was composed of shattered and fragments, window panes, sliding doors, and clay walls of the house. The huge green mountains surrounding the city had turned brown. After a while, my mother saw a standing sight, a line of people escaping the fire from Urakami, the hypocenter, and seeking water and help came over the mountains and descended from mountain Mount Kompira to the urban area where our house was located. From a distance, the people staggering down looked like a line of ants, but in fact they were rows of burned and injured chocolate-colored people. They had little or no clothing on, and their hair was blooded and matted like horns. In the space next to our house, a vacant lot created, created by demolishing houses in advance to prevent the spread of fire during air raids. Cremation continued day after day. The the smell of it made it impossible to eat anything. The corpses of the victims were brought in by the box-shaped garbage carts, one after another. People who collected the bodies from the roadside grabbed the limbs and threw them into the garbage carts. The bodies from the roadside carts so casually. Burnt limbs are sticking out of the carts like dolls. People were talking about how many or few here there were each day, and soon they stopped feeling anything at all about the sight. There the bodies were burned like garbage. What is human dignity? Should human beings be treated like that? My mother used to tell me that every August that smell would come back. On the 15th of August, the day the war ended, my mother was sent to the temporary relief station. She helped with the treatment of people who had been taken in for injuries and burns. The sight of the people lying on the floor filling the auditorium was beyond description. She was assigned to follow the doctor carrying the antiseptic solution, but people's wounds were so severe that she passed out on the spot. Once she came to her senses, she was relegated to cleaning up work. She had to use a broom to sweep away the maggots that were swarming all over the survivors' festering wounds. The maggots were so big as her thumb. She had never seen maggots that big and in such large number, and thought she would never see them in the future. The US military also dropped the machine radio sensor by parachute at the same time as the atomic bomb to report the condition of the dropped bombs. Among the many victims were not only Japanese, but also Koreans, Chinese, and POWs of the Allied forces. These were people who happened to be there on that day, away from home, regardless of nationality or race. Didn't the machine attached to the parachute tell the US military anything other than the atomic bomb? My mother questioned. Didn't they tell them about the lives of the people under that mushroom cloud, about their families, and above all, about the preciousness of life? Brig- Brigadier General Thomas Farrell, who was in charge of the Manhattan Project, arrived in Japan shortly after the atomic bombing, and at the press conference, she stated to the effect that all those who were doomed to die had died, and there was no one suffering from radiation. As a result, all the temporary relief stations were closed. In Japan, a defeated nation reporting on the damage caused by the atomic bombing was severely restricted by the United States. Many people died without knowing why they were dying. The number of dead within concentric circle from the hypocenter by the end of December 1945 were estimated at 140,000 in Hiroshima and 90,000 in Nagasaki, each with an error margin of 10,000. 65% of them were children, women, and the elderly, and only 4% of them died while being cared for by someone. Many of them were burned like garbage without being identified who they were or where they were from. Those who were cremated by the hands of their families may have been fortunate. Survivors were never informed of the causes of their ill health and suffering. They were tormented by survivors' guilt, illness, and poverty, and had to give up many their dreams. They were also subjected to discrimination and prejudice because of the lack of understanding in society. For 9 years following the atomic bombing, they were abandoned by the Japanese government and the United States, as no medical care or assistance, assistance were extended to them.